I'm gonna be completely honest, I have not been playing nearly as much as I used to, and I'm not alone. Fortnite's player count has drastically dropped. Chapter 6 has been something I have little to no interest in. I mean, the themes have been pretty cool, and the gameplay honestly has been good, with its bosses, new mechanics, and also mini events. But I just can't compare it to what the game used to feel like back then. But it isn't really fair for me to judge these just because of nostalgia. The older chapters, I guess, just hit different so hard, and I miss the old days where the game felt new and more characteristic. Like, I miss it so much. So while reminiscing about these old times and accepting that I probably won't enjoy the game like I used to, I suddenly remembered something. One of Fortnite's biggest mysteries to this day. What the heck happened to the 7? Let's go back first to chapter 1. This is where things felt truly special because a new world was quite literally unraveling in front of us, and we never would have realized back then how important these times were and how memorable they would become. This was the foundation of Fortnite. Anyways, we all know how it goes. That little meteor in the sky is what kickstarted everything. Everything. Not just the storyline, but what the topic of this video is about. In season 4, the first ever known member of the 7, known as the Visitor, arrived on the island. At the time, we didn't know that he was part of the 7 or that it even existed. This is what I really liked about old Fortnite. New characters with mystery that we all had to theorize about. I mean, we knew nothing. So we kind of just used our imagination, and it was just fun. Later in season 4, the Visitor had a rocket under construction, which was suspected to destroy Tilted Towers, as Fortnite kind of hinted at it. But instead, rifts formed, which led to a whole other series of events. Fast forward, the Visitor or anything related to the 7 disappeared for ages, all the way until season X. It was revealed through voice tapes that there are more members to the Visitor, a group of 7, hence the name. We got introduced to 2 new members, the Paradigm and the Scientist. The Scientist arrived in another meteor where his role was quite important. He made rift beacons to stabilize and change POI zones, and he is essentially the reason of the whole end event happening and for the black hole happening. But this didn't need to happen because since the 0 point was already extremely unstable, the island needed a whole reset. The Paradigm actually arrived early in the storyline. She is the one who actually piloted the mech in the season 9 Robot vs. Monster. She had caused the 0 point to destabilize, which caused conflict with her and the 7. I guess they viewed her as kind of a traitor for causing chaos, which she did really, but she makes up for it in chapter 3, which we will explain later. At this point, we had known 3 members, and now there were only 4 members yet to uncover, but none of that would ever be revealed until all the way in chapter 2, season 5. A meteor had crashed as Agent Jones wanted to grab his attention, or who was inside of it. As soon as that exact person came out, we all recognized that visor. It was another member of the 7, but not just any member. The leader of the 7, the Foundation. He played a large main role in the story of chapter 2, helping Jones as they tried to save and protect the 0 point from collapsing reality itself. This duo was so unmatched, by the way. I miss the 2 of them so much, the way they worked together. The chemistry just came out of nowhere, and they instantly clicked as a perfect pair. But we have lost that now, which is so unfortunate. They were so good, we need to see them together again. The Foundation's role was to repair the 0 point in season 6 Primal, but when the Spire was destroyed by the last reality, he was rifted to the Batman reality, falling into an ocean. He did eventually return in season 8, just in time to save Jonesy from Dr. Sloan. He also did assist pushing through the bridge underneath the island as it began to flip. All of these events led us into chapter 3, and that was the prime chapter for the 7 storyline. The chapter 3 Artemis Island appeared to be home to the 7, as it was already occupied by them, with also henchmen and even their own POIs. This island was thought to be the safe haven, but it was quickly interrupted as the imagined order finally invaded with their drills to the surface, breaking out war. This was season 2 Resistance, which was the battle between the IO and the 7, revealing to us the final members we were waiting for. This season revealed the Origin and the Sisters, known as the Imagined and the Order, and they're all very unique to the 7 as I view them as more outsiders, because they kind of are. Firstly, the Origin was originally the Cube King, once a leader of the last reality before joining the 7. When he realized his actions were wrong, he decided to join the 7. The Sisters are also quite interesting because they were created by the Imagined Order, more specifically Geno. So they weren't naturally born, which is actually kind of sad. They both have lost memories, but only the Imagined has a motive to piece together what she can't remember. So she goes into the IO service to find her origins. While her sister, the Order, isn't as obsessed to retrieve her lost memories. and instead serves more to be focused in the war. Unfortunately, the imagined solo mission ultimately leads to her death and sacrifice to take down Gino, in which she pushes him and herself into the 0 point, scattering her and him across the multiverse. However, her blade is actually discovered in the Rave Cave in season 3, so it kinda hints that maybe she survived, or it's showing that she did die and all that was left was her blade. Now, season 4 is where the 7 completely melt down, not just literally from the chrome, but their entire idea and storyline as a whole. The paradigm returns after being accepted again, but as she's finally back, she watches the scientist, Origin, and the visitor get consumed by chrome, barely making it out alive. Not only that, the Order's wings are found on its own, implying she was also consumed by chrome, making the paradigm the last member present on the island, as the Foundation's whereabouts are unknown along with Jones. She warns the island's destruction and fraction, which happens as the chrome spreads and causes a mass chain reactive explosion. The paradigm then sacrifices herself with zero fusion, knowing the risks of doing so. Therefore, Chapter 4 is formed, but she is gone in consequence. This marks the end of the paradigm storyline, which actually was cut quite short. At this point, literally all of the 7 are MIA, and 1 is dead. So based off all this, you can tell they've all kind of fallen apart. So what did happen to the 7? Well, firstly, the storyline completely sidetracked in Fortnite from Chapter 4 onwards. They focused on newer themes and other lore, which is fair. But the 7 kind of just disappeared. Another important thing is that Donald Mustard, who was the chief creative officer for Epic Games, stood down from his position. And he is the one who created the 7, so maybe since he went down, the 7 story just decided to stop. From that last moment we saw the 7 until now, they completely disappeared. So what can we even conclude from all this? Will we ever see them again? Do we have even any ideas of where they could be? Well, we have something. Amy, the scientist AI, which you might remember back in Chapter 3, discovered that those who were chromed were being manipulated by the Nothing, with a fate far worse than death. This implies that they were not killed by the chrome, but potentially held hostage, dealing with the worst. It's always been assumed by many people that the 7 who were consumed were being corrupted into new beings with a new purpose, likely for evil. So what if there was supposed to be a season with the 7 return, but this time they aren't on our side anymore? I think it'd be really awesome for a theme. Imagine someone on our side just betraying us. It would also fit perfectly for a Fortnite mid-season during Halloween. Man, it would be so cool to see a corrupted 7 alliance that tries to take us down and the island. You know what? If this video hits 500 likes, I'll make a map concept season about that. And also, if you're enjoying the video so far, consider using my code Comics in the Fortnite item shop. But from this information, it's safe to conclude there must have been a plan for them. I guess maybe it just never got around as they didn't want to continue because they had other plans. It's also worth mentioning that Charlie Wen, who took Donald's place for Epic Games, has his own vision. Unless he sees a need to continue the legacy that Donald Mustard created with the 7, he will likely continue to develop his own ideas and stories into the game. And I'm sure there's more really cool ones to come from him. It's just really unfortunate that they had to cut it off so soon and so randomly. Like the 7 just ended like that, just gone. No proper ending, no information about where they are. It overall just felt rushed and incomplete, which was just disappointing. There was a lot of room for potential. They built up so much for the 7, and after just 2 seasons, they disappeared when every member was finally revealed. This is exactly where I noticed a big hole in Fortnite Ember's story. Around Chapter 3, the story was slowly starting to lose itself, primarily noted in Chapter 4. At this point, it made it seem like they didn't care for the story as much, and therefore the 7 were part of that. They might have just wanted to push out other things, and that's not bad at all. In fact, new is good, but when it's just constant new things with incomplete stories before them, it feels like a puzzle with a missing piece. So what the heck happened to the 7? I guess they simply got forgotten. But overall, the thing is, they can always bring the 7 back. Since the ending for them was so abrupt and mysterious, they could explain it all with a return, like where they may be corrupted. It would be a breath of fresh air knowing the explanation, and also just seeing them back since it's been almost 3 years since we last saw them in proper Battle Royale storyline. Can you believe that? 3 years. I don't really see them bringing them back now with the way Fortnite's been. The 7 had a really good run, and we might never see them again. At least we can appreciate them for what they were and what they had. I would argue they made the story feel alive. A sense of having someone on our side, as powerful as they are, with this island destabilizing against the 0 point itself, or threats like the cube and the imagined order. The 7 will always be remembered, and maybe one day, we will see them again.